we do know what the budget is, but we don't say if we haven't got the exact figure in our mind. So we can get that figure to the committee, but we know the budget
figure?
is around about £1 million.
Mm-hmm. So it's around about £1 million, and it's overspending by 800,000.
Yeah.
So okay, that's fine. And baked into the budget for next year are savings of £150,000 on homeschool transport. So you've got to save 150,000 and reduce the 800,000 pounds overspend.
There's certainly demand on the budget, yes.
Okay, that's helpful. Can I just, as we go through, I'm just intrigued by the introduction reference to the goals set out at the COP26 summit. Can you tell me what goals you had in mind?
This is really around sort of sustainable travel. That's part of the work that we're doing. So we haven't, got all of the detail around that. We're looking at that detail at the moment. So it's part of the work that we're doing. But we know that COP26 is important. We know that sustainable travel is important, and looking at different modes of the way people travel around Thurrock. So that's part of the work that we're doing. We've not finished that one.
So the COP26 goals were set in advance of COP, and this doesn't refer to any specific goal. It's just the general COP-ishness.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So have you done any baseline work then to tell us how many tonnes of carbon are emitted by the buses ferrying kids to school in St Clair's, for instance?
Not at this stage, no.
No, but that is something that you do.
It is something that we can do, absolutely. We can look at that.
Okay.
I'm happy to take away anything that you would like.
No, I just think if we're going to talk about emissions and doing good things for the environment, we need some baseline information, don't we, so that we can tell whether we're actually being successful. Because clearly taking the 6 buses off the road and then replacing it with 300 cars would be doing harm, not good, wouldn't it? So I think we need that baseline information. And it's my kind of misunderstanding about things when it comes to a safe route. I think most people around the table think of the safe route to school as a walking route, but what you're saying is that isn't necessarily the definition, that the definition can be, rather than a route, a mode.
It can be a mode. The walking route, that particular walking route is unsafe, but we're looking at actually, are there other options? Are there alternative modes of transport, such as buses and trains, that would make sure that we are still meeting our statutory duty, but allows travel in a different way.
So I want to come back to that definition of an unsafe route. So because the walking route is clearly unsafe, if we can identify a different form of transport, then we can declare it as a safe route.
We are looking at that. That's what we're looking at the moment.
So I don't quite understand why the current bus isn't a safe route.
That is one option. The contracted bus is one option, but we are looking at all options.
But the contracted bus is already there, isn't it?
The contracted bus is already there, yes.
So if we're just talking about it's not a walking route, so the definition isn't what I kind of understood it to be. I'm just a bit confused as to why it isn't already declared as a safe route.
Because the walking route is not safe.
Okay. So it is the walking route.
Well,
How many young people currently use the buses from East Tilbury, Linford to St Clair's?
we have 376 students travelling across 6 contracted buses.
We move on to allocation of a personal transport budget for SEND. Personal travel budget, which will cover travel expenses, is fine. You look at suitable payment systems to support young people's travel, and it ends by saying students assessed as not eligible will not be provided with any free transport. Can you just talk a little bit more about what the eligibility criteria is? Because surely if they're not eligible today, then they're not getting transport today. That's not going to change, is it, that criteria?
We would look at each individual child on a discretionary basis. So we would look at their individual needs, for example.
So you're going to reassess young people that are currently getting transport?
Not reassess them if they're already getting transport, and children and parents reapply for transport on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
So then we would reassess them, and what we would look at is introducing a personal travel budget as an option, the same as we do with fuel reimbursement. So as new applications come in, that will be something that we may, if that's something that we take forward in terms of personal travel budgets, that might be something we offer before we offer a fuel reimbursement, or before we offer.
But only if they're reassessed and are still eligible. What I'm saying is, will the eligibility criteria that exists now
Yes.
be the same eligibility criteria?
Yes.
Okay, so people needn't be concerned about that.
No.
Okay. What's the next one? The council's travel training programme.
Yes.
I think it's a really good idea, but it says that we identified 19 people.
We need to carry on looking at, alternative routes, the legal advice. We now need to really sort of look at, everything that we've gathered, all of the information, looking at the children, where they're travelling from.
But the legal advice has said that it can be declared safe. So on what?
It has, but we are further discussing that with legal.
Okay, so they might change their mind about that.
They might offer further advice.
Right, well, I mean, personally, I'm really unhappy about this proposal, and I certainly won't be recommending that part of the proposal to go forward to Cabinet, and for that bus service to be stopped and that route to be declared safe. Councillor Snell.
Yeah, just one last point, please, Chair. Councillor Massey's got the gov.uk website up, and it is very, very clear that if there's no safe walking route between home and school, then there is no route that can be declared safe. Now, I agree that we need to do this consultation with the home to school transport, and I agree that we might have to fall back on our statutory duties because of budgetary pressures that are there. But what I really don't want to see is the council performing legal gymnastics to try and wangle a route that probably shouldn't be a safe route. I would like it to be very, very clear, because it's going to cause more problems for ourselves than enough. It can either be clearly a safe route or it isn't. And I just don't want us to go for all sorts of legal sort of hula hoops just to make it look like it's safe, when actually, looking at the gov.uk website, which is very clear, it clearly isn't. So I think we should be very, very careful if we start going down that route. That's all, Chair.
What I'd like to say is that this is an update on some of the work that we're looking at across a number of different projects. Unsafe routes being one of them. That's part of our work that we do on a regular basis. Particularly as we get new developments. So this is not something, this is to give you an update on the things that we're looking at, things that we're working on, rather than proposals that we're putting forward, with a view to making decisions on things. So this is just some of the things that we're looking at bringing.
Can you be correct putting down a particular route in this report? Just would have left it a bit generic.
No, because actually, it was good to give an update on what we're looking at currently. So that's one of, unsafe routes is something we look at, but we are looking at that particular route.
Yeah, I also specifically requested that go into the report, so that's why it's there. So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. You're just presenting some work that you've been doing, but I mean, I think it's very clear from the committee that we don't consider this to be a possibility to declare this route as a walking route to be safe. I mean, for anybody that hasn't seen the video, it's basically, there's no curbs, at some places there's no actual grass verge to walk along on both sides of the road, so it would be highly unsafe, and it seems to go right the way through to farmers' fields. So there's no lighting, no drainage. So really, I can't understand how any legal advice could have got to the stage of considering that it could be declared safe. Personally.
I think what I'd say is that, you know, that walking route is not a safe walking route. We would never expect children and young people to walk, you know, down a country lane that's got no pathways, etc.
So that's conclusive then that you won't be making a safe route, given the definition that's on the Gov website. So this is a no-brainer.
That walking route, you know, cannot be deemed safe because you know, there are no pathways, and we wouldn't expect, you know, we would not put children at risk walking a route that is not safe for them to do so.
Thank you.
Can I just add?
Yeah.
Well, when that road has to be lit a bit, then I have to put in place traffic management
Right.
for the adult litter pickers, not children.
Right. As a safety measure to
Exactly.
keep them safe.
Yeah.
Councillor Akinbowin.
Thank you, Chair. How can we, looking forward, how can we now make the route safe instead of spending thousands and thousands of money on buses and transport and trains? How can we make the route safe for the children? Because I believe many students would like to walk instead of taking buses or, you know, trains.
There would have to be, you know, investment in cycle and walking paths, you know, between East Tilbury and that might be something that in the future comes forward with future housing development. That could be part of, you know, part of those new housing developments. And we do know that, you know, in Thurrock, as new developments come on board, actually routes can become safe because the areas have become more built up. There's, you know, appropriate paths and lighting and cycle paths for students. So that could be something that, you know, that would be the way to enable children and young people to walk to school in that area.